What's going on, everybody? Poem here with Late Night Gaming. I'm with Solo and Woo. McBobber's out of town. And we're going to be talking about some spoilers that came out recently for Star Wars Unlimited. Let's get into it. Our first one is the leader Jin Erso. She's got an action that says attack with a unit. The defender gets -1, -0 for this attack, and she deploys at 6 resources. When she comes in, she's got Rebel with a 4/7. While a friendly unit is attacking, the defender gets -0, -1. Solo, what do you think of Jin Erso? You got any chance to test with her or anything like that?
No, I haven't tested her yet, but at first glance, I think she's just a fair card. Like she's a she's a common, so you know she just does her thing. Like right, she just -1, and she'll help you trade favorably.
All right, what are your thoughts on Jin?
I think she's pretty strong, actually. She's just not that compelling to me. I don't think there's any particular synergy right now with her. She just plays things to the board pretty well, and your main goal with her is just going to be to create a couple favorable trades where your guy, instead of trading evenly with something, trades and survives with 1 health. You've all of a sudden basically her ability was kill something, right? You do that a few times in a game and you're going to create a significant amount of card advantage. She's very strong though on her leader side, and I think finding ways to get her into play and not have her die is going to completely swing games. If you can manage that, because now all your things do that all the
Yeah.
time. So
Sentinels or, you want to keep her
yeah,
alive, yeah.
you're just gonna
Mm-hmm.
multiple attacks a turn getting this trigger. Mace Windu followed up with her, he can start slaying nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
Because her front side doesn't work well with ambush because it's an action, but her back side does work with ambush. The leader side, it's just a static effect. So that's where I think she'll shine. But I don't think there's any specific synergy. She's just kind of a good rate. She just has Boba Fett stats and costs 1 more though, so So
Yeah, and the argument I heard on Discord to try to explain that is the designers thought the hero card pool it was better or something. That's the argument, and I'm like, really? Okay, I don't know if I'm really buying that. The other thing I heard was Boba Fett's ability is difficult to proc. Okay, I'm not buying that really either. Yeah, I think, but we discussed this at length, and it's it's not that she's overcosted; it's that Boba Fett's just aggressively costed. I would say.
yeah, I think that's more it. She seems appropriately. I mean, she has Luke's stats, right? So
Yeah.
she I think she's actually pretty good. I just don't know what specifically to do with her yet.
Yep. Yeah, we were kind of talking about how it's kind of it's difficult to build around her. It's more so she just kind of slots into a generic type of deck. It's difficult to kind of come up with a concept specifically for her. But
Are the hero leaders better than the villains?
well, no, they're saying the argument I heard was that for the reason she's comes in at 6 and Boba's at 5, that's logical, is that the hero card pool is better than the villain card pool.
Oh, the
So
card
the
pool.
leaders
Oh, okay, okay.
are costed differently in order to compensate for that. I'm not sure if I really buy that, but
Yeah, yeah, I'm not that. That's speculation, I guess.
yeah. Anyhow, yeah. So I think I don't think she's gonna win Worlds 2025, but we'll
Watch you
see.
in worlds.
I
Watch you in worlds.
don't think so. All right, next up we've got the unit Partisan Insurgent. He's an aggression unit with Rebel Trooper. It's a 1/4 stat line. While you control another aggression unit, this unit gains Raid 2. Woo, what do you think about the Insurgent?
Yeah, this guy, I really like this guy, and I think it's much more catered to aggressive decks. The raid, obviously, its power's only coming up when it's attacking, so it's not really good at defending anything. but the 4 at the back end means it survives attacks from almost all the 2-drops, or probably all the 2-drops in the game. It's got 2 very relevant traits. So Rebel is a very good trait for aggressive Dex and Hero. Trooper is a very good trait for like the green stuff that plays Taji if they want to try that. He just hits strong. I think it's only going to get better when Red gets some more good units, especially in like Sabine, because she's the one thing she doesn't have is a ton of red units right now. So like, if she ever becomes a mono red deck, I think this guy's going to be like one of the key pieces there. And the sky's the limit for this little guy. Coming in for as a 3/4 on the second turn, it's going to be very strong.
All right,
Good
so
traits.
this guy is not your your quoted draft filler. He's not a draft filler. He's going to see some constructed play most likely, you think?
Yeah, I think so. Specifically in aggressive decks. I think in decks where you're trying to like trade and play defense, like his power doesn't do anything when he's not attacking. So
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on that, Solo?
I mean, Leia hero leader likes it too. Get 2 red units down and
Yeah.
swing
That rebel
swing
trait.
with Leia. Yep.
Yeah, hopefully we
Just
get some more
find it.
trooper synergy. We got a bunch of troopers revealed this week, so yeah, be nice to get some more options there. Next up, we've got the Battlefield Marine. He's a 2-cost command heroism card with a 3/3 stat line, Rebel Trooper. And yeah, obviously this guy is definitely super good. One of the better, if not the best 2-drop in the game right now. So very
Why?
very good. Just the stat line for 2 is very good. Obviously the rebel trait right now is very good. Yeah, he can kind of come in there and clean up those 2/3 guys that shore troopers and things like that. Those officials, the guy that heals. He trades really well into those early game units. I think is why he's up there in power level. I found one way to deal with this guy is if they play him on turn 1, and you've got your Boba Fett unit with the ambush base. That's a real way to deal with this guy. You just kind of hold that back, wait for them to attack, and just kind of clean this guy up. Like that probably wins you the game if you can pull that whole line off. Like you're set up at that point. But it's difficult.
Could be tough to like get the like priority to line up that way. Like if they're
Mm-hmm.
expecting, like obviously they might know you have Boba Fett, so they might be reluctant to even swing with it until you play a card.
Yeah, it's against some unsuspecting people. You can probably get in there maybe in the first game and kind of clean it up. If they go first, it's better for you because then they're kind of doing everything, and then you can kind of stall a little bit and get to that. But that's one way to deal with it. There's not a bunch. The Viper probe droid, even though that guy is normally trading with other units. Like he's happy to trade with this guy just because of the power level of this card. So if you see that Viper probe, you're probably keeping it against a green heroism.
The 1/4 rebels with Fleet Lieutenant, eat him. Like there's stuff. I mean, it's just a 3, but it is like just the best like pure stats at a 2-cost card currently. So
I think one of the strongest lines of play for this guy is going to be turn 1, you play him, and then turn 2, you play Wing Leader. Like, I just think that right there, being a 5/5 that early, is really oppressive. Like, you're out of drop kick range, right? If that's what it's called.
No, you can get takedown. Yeah, you can get
takedown's
takedown.
5. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought.
But it's strong. He holds all these buffs well because he has the rebel trait. Like it's just strong.
Yeah, like
you go on
for those
TTS right
people
now,
who
you're going to
bench-
be seeing a bunch of green decks, bunch of loot green because of this guy. He really helps that deck.
Like
You
I feel
know,
like
they
him and
needed
Wind
it.
Leader.
Those decks needed a good 2-drop because the only good ones were in red. So
But it's just so much value having a 2/5/5 turn two. Just like
Yeah.
there's not too many decks that can deal with that early.
Yeah. Get your
And
Pecker
if you get it,
Waylays.
and you know if you're playing cunning or you got the shooting reflexes or whatever, quick twitch reflex or whatever, like I mean, yeah, this becomes very hard.
Yep. Yeah, you could Voltron him, get him down early, and just pump stuff into him and hope you don't get waylaid. You know, maybe
yeah,
that.
I honestly don't think you need to try too hard with this guy. You just play him on the first turn. If he trades with another 2-drop, whatever. Like it's just a good card. You,
Voltron
you don't.
candidate.
It
Tom
doesn't
brought it
need
up.
like it doesn't need synergy that much. It's just like it's got the numbers.
He's going in most every green heroism deck for the next couple years. This guy's first card you pick on the DB. Just click it 3. You know, move on to the next card, most likely. Next card up, we've got Wilderness Fighter. He's a 3-cost Vigilance, 2/4 Trooper, shielded. Solo, what do you think about the Fighter?
Um, in vigilance, he'll be okay, but I don't see this card making the final cut most of the time. I just think there's better things you can do with that slot because you know these slots are valuable. So he's very mid. He's very okay. Like he has a 2 attack. Like unless now if he was a sentinel, he'd be busted.
Yeah,
So unless there's
people
some
were talking about.
Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
people talk about Chewy with him.
Yeah, people were talking
but
about
isn't Chewie
Chewy.
just one turn?
Yeah, but you know, if you're playing against aggro, that's all you want is each turn to give yourself some sentinel, so that you can get the big carpet rug man down late game and just kind of put up a wall. So you know, it's good and it's arguably playable in Chewbacca, or it's playable in Chewbacca, but it's probably a mid tier low, on the lower end of the power level spectrum.
I agree though. I think even in Chewy, eventually this isn't gonna like be strong enough. They didn't even give it like the rebel trait, so you know it says a lot that this is playable in Chewy because like that means Chewy's missing quite a lot of things.
Chewie's just bad.
I don't think he's bad. I think he's playable. You got to
He's
get
in
your
a
reps
bad
in with
spot.
him. You got to get your
That-
reps. You got to have the right deck build. You got to know what you're doing. You got to practice with him. But I think Chewie's decent. Right? Like he's not Boba Fett, but
No, he's fine, yeah. And this is like fine in him, right? It's like
yeah, it's kind of a kitchen table card.
like this next one.
I don't know about this next
No.
one.
No.
Luke Skywalker.
This next one, you hang up in a mural in your front door, so when everybody walks in the house, they can appreciate this.
You're really high on this one then, huh? Well, let me read it first. Luke Skywalker, Jedi Knight, 7 cost, Vigilance, Heroism. He's a 6/7 with Force Jedi Rebel. He's got Restore 3 and a win played. Give an enemy unit -3/-3 for this phase. If a friendly unit was defeated this phase, give that enemy unit -6/-6 for this phase instead. Woo, thoughts on Luke Skywalker, Jedi Knight?
It's good. It's a good card. It does the thing. Yeah, I don't know. Like Blue's been waiting for their big guy, right? Everyone else had their big guy. The Han, the Mace, the home one. Now Blue gets one. So like this, along with Battlefield Marine, has like catapulted Luke into a much more powerful deck. It doesn't have to rely on just one finisher from another color now. And now it's got its own. I think this compares with like Mace and Han. It's better in a lot of situations. It's not always better than either of those cards. Like there are situations where Han's better and Mace better, but like I think this one's floor is higher than both of those. It's incredibly powerful, and it's like exactly what Blue Hero needed. And they get it now.
Yeah, you trade your low unit or low health unit into their leader or something in the late game, and then you've lost a unit that turn, and then you drop this guy and just do 6 damage to their dude. Basically, what's that? That's what that -6 refers
That's a
to.
little better than that if you're killing them that turn, because they also like lose their attack. So like you put this on Vader, it doesn't kill the Vader, but Vader's a 0/2 now. You can kill it with something else, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now if you don't kill the unit, then the -6 disappears and like they gain all the life back. But that's
Yep.
kind of niche. You're using this to kill something.
Yeah, it's just helps you clear that board, and then you got the restore on the to help you kind of recover if you were taking a licking. This guy's super good.
I mean, the way I see this is you're on a clock. Like you got to be in a good position to win. Like I feel like this card just brings you back in games. It if you're behind, this card can get you back in it. Like I mean, this thing is like I'm so high on this card. This card brings up other decks. Like this card can make Chewie better. Like this card makes like Han blue could be a thing just because of this card.
Yeah, Han
You know,
Blue is an interesting concept for some other reasons that we can talk about later, actually. Like the Jedi lightsaber, we can discuss some interesting plays with Han Blue in that situation. But we like Luke Skywalker, and let's move on to our next card, Medal Ceremony. It's a 0 cost heroism event. It says Rebel on the event, which is interesting. Wonder if that'll matter. And if you give an experience token to each of up to 3 Rebel units that attack this phase. I've got limited action with this card. I found it a little funky to kind of get it all to work out. It was a little bit of a stars aligned kind of situation, so I don't typically like cards like that are kind of very scenario dependent. But yeah, so I mean, I value a card like in my deck, like a card advantage is important. So 0 cost cards are probably a difficult sell for me. From like just having enough cards throughout the game to be able to curve out your deck. So I'm not too sure about Medal Ceremony for myself currently, but interested to hear what you guys have to think or have to say. Solo?
Yeah, I just think so. Basically, you're paying 0 to get experience for the next turn, right? So, I mean, this is good early, but I think as time goes on, late game, I don't know if this is valuable because late game you need things to matter now. So, yeah, early game, sure, but I don't know. I feel like we're in a 50 card deck. You need everything to kind of work at any point in the game, right? Like you don't want to be having stuff that's bad later, good early. So yeah, having the 3 experience is cool, but also keeping track of like you got to build for this too. Like so, remembering that I don't have a rebel, so not accidentally giving experience tokens to non-rebels, and you have to keep an eye on your opponent who's playing this because they might cheat and try to put experience tokens on characters that aren't rebels.
I mean, cheating is not an argument against a card.
I don't think they're cheating, but just misplaying is what he means. But yeah, anyhow, what do you think about Medal Ceremony?
I guess I'm gonna be trying to sell you guys. I think this card's awesome. I think this card's
Yeah, you got to
fantastic.
sell me on it.
It's 0, first of all, right? The difference between 0 and 1 is infinite.
So what round are you playing this? Because
so this is only an aggro card, like pure aggro. So like
a round 4
in
aggro
the late
card.
game is kind of irrelevant. You're not playing this in games against decks that are going late. This is pure aggro. I'm playing it in Sabine right now. I play it in Leia. It's actually very good in Leia because she can action cheat attacks, which makes it easier to get more experience on more units. Compare this to like the other 1 cost upgrades that give +1/+1. So you attack with 1 unit with this, and you get 0 cost experience. You've just given it +1/+1 for 0.
Okay.
Granted, you've had to attack first, so you're not getting that damage that turn, but you've also paid 0, right? So it's fitting your curve better. Now, the moment you can get this on 2 units, you've already like far exceeded the value of any of the like 1 cost upgrades. Three honestly is a little fairy tale. Like that doesn't happen very often. But 2 in Sabine, very easy. She comes down early and she is a rebel. Same with Leia. She's pretty easy to get experience on her as well as with on another unit. Um, you put those +1/+1 really help put things out of removal reach or out of like trade reach, right? Leia goes to 7 health. Sabine goes to 6, so she's not. You can't be takedowned anymore. Your 3/4s can go to 4/5, right? So they can't be open fired. They can't be traded with like Kanan can't kill them anymore. That 1 health often is like all it takes for something to not get eaten by something. Go
Right.
and this goes wide, right? Turn 1 2 drop, turn 3 3 drop, turn 4 and Sabine you play her. 2 of those things are probably alive. You play this. If you have multiples of these in your hand, you just dump them all. You just win the next turn because right, you're gonna have like a 4/7 Sabine and a 3/4/7 A wing or whatever. Like, um, I think this card's really strong, and
Okay, you're really high on it.
I've been
It's
very happy
definitely, it's
playing it.
obviously, so it's obviously like powerful for what it does. I'm just not, it just doesn't necessarily, seem like it's going to be consistent. That's going to give you what you want
I think
when
that's
you when
accurate.
you
It is
have
not
it.
consistent. It is not
Yeah.
consistent. But I think that's like where you cards that are not consistent but have very high power ceilings, I think are cards you're pretty happy with. Like you compare it to some other like Luke's lightsaber, right? That's certainly not a consistent card. Like it doesn't do anything for like 6 turns in the game, but it has a very high power ceiling. In a
Okay.
way, this is like similar to that. Like, yeah, it doesn't do something in every game, but like it's got a lot going for it, and uh, really happy with it in like hard aggro hero decks like Sabine and Leia.
All right. Wu likes the card. We're Solo and I are kind of on the fence on it, kind of wait and see mode. So we shall see how that one ends up playing out. Metal Ceremony. Glad we disagreed on something today. We have Bamboozle is the next one. It's a 2-cost cunning heroism card. You may discard a cunning card from your hand instead of paying this event's cost, exhaust a unit, and return each upgrade on it to its owner's hand. Some more upgrade hate for all the Voltron lovers out there. They're just telling you, nope, you can have no fun. And yeah, so who's up? Solo, you want to talk about this one?
I think the ceiling of this card is Cyborg.
Okay.
I think this is not. This is really bad into aggro. Um, aggro does not care about this. Aggro laughs at this card. Um, into bigger units like maybe a Vader. Vader doesn't want to see this. If you go heavy into Vader,
This is really good on like a Vader or a Luke or something, right?
right? Like so, but that's why it's a sideboard. So if you're in a tournament, you don't want this in your deck. You want this like, okay, I'm about to play Vader. All right, I'm gonna put this in. Or I'm about to play Luke. I'm gonna put this in. But
Would you
this is
see
not
this
a
one as a sideboard?
I do see it as a sideboard card, but I actually think it's at its best against aggro. So we're kind of like different as to like what it does.
Like if they're
oh
doing
okay.
wing
I think the
leaders and
fact that you
stuff.
can make it cost 0 is why it's good against aggro. Like, yeah, they like you can deploy and basically like time block them, right? That's the problem with some of like Asteroid Sanctuary and stuff is like, yeah, you play it, you've gained some life, but you also haven't added anything to the board that turn, and this like lets you play your guy and stop their thing for a turn. Bonus points if they've like wing leadered their A wing, you kill the 2 experience with this. Like, because this does like experience and shields do die to this effect. Um,
I will say this. I am slightly forgetting, largely forgetting that experience tokens are upgrades. Like that's still something
So what
I'm
happens in that
working.
scenario if you have just experience tokens on this? Do they
They
just
die. They
fall off?
confirmed that. Yeah, they just fall. They go to their hand, but the experience and shield specifically say if they leave play, they die instead.
Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's not. It's a cunning and heroism. You know, when it has the two symbols like that, you know, you got to pay a little bit of extra attention to it. That's usually what I look at. You know, this is not intended to be a draft card. You know, it's an uncommon. I think this is going to be in decks. You know, it's like it has play. You said into aggro. It has play into some of the mid rangey decks that we've talked about, Luke and Vader and such. You know, if they get they try to put a fallen lightsaber down or something, they're just totally nuked on that whole situation. So yeah, I think this. Yeah, I haven't really tested a whole lot with it, but I'm curious. I think this is going to end up, you know, being a very common card to see in the game.
I think it's there to target a very specific kind of deck. Probably like a deck that relies a lot on like ramping up one unit. Um, I don't think it's like very powerful, but you know it costs zero. Like you need to pay attention when something can cost zero.
You're right. Right.
So so are you saying you see the value in jumping a card to make it a zero?
Yeah, like anything that you can play for zero at least gets my head churning a little bit.
Do you
It's a
think there's
steep
going to
cost,
be?
right?
Do you
But
think there's going to be any cards that if you discard them from your hand, they do something? Think that'll ever be an effect? Like
yeah, it could be.
we saw that in, like in Hearthstone or whatever. You some sort of card gets discarded, then it comes into play or whatever.
Yeah, Magic
That
has
would be
that.
nuts.
Yeah, a lot of decks do. I don't think we're gonna get that in this set personally, but
Yeah.
something to keep an eye out for.
All right. Well, let's keep going. We got to kind of speeded this up a little bit. We've got outmaneuver, choose an arena, exhaust each unit in that arena. This seems like we were hearing and reading from some of the developers were talking about this is to kind of punish the one lane kind of strategies. You know, if they're just flooding a lane and they're trying to go all space or all ground or whatever, you can kind of punish them for that if you have a more balanced approach because this does exhaust your own units as well. I don't really see myself putting this in my decks and things like that, but it's interesting that it exists and it could be sort of a tech kind of card or some kind of sideboard option or something like that. But what do you guys think, Solo?
I mean, I'm pretty high on the card. I think it's auto include,
Auto
and
include.
Oh,
I think it's an auto include.
Okay, what kind of deck is going to auto include this?
I think if you're playing yellow, you should have this because you can never predict if your opponent. I mean, I remember I played you on one time, and you just used your little probe droid, saw my hand, and said, "All right, I'm going to space," and you won the game just because of that. So something like this can happen, and outmaneuver is a good card to have. Like it punishes you if you don't have a balanced deck, but I think it's auto include though. I don't. It's just a great card.
Yeah, I don't know about auto include. Will you want to respond to that?
I think the card is really bad. Like, really bad. I don't think it's even a side. Like I don't know. Maybe it seems to me like a failsafe card they made, like just in case some weird stuff happens. This costs 3. This like it's like a fog if you've ever played Magic, like stops damage for a turn basically, but it's just like too expensive. It does it to your own stuff too. It's like, come on.
Yeah, I don't think this card's very good
I'm gonna
either.
hard disagree on this being playable right now, and
Yeah, I think there's a big chasm between us and Solo on this one. We think it's barely a sideboard, maybe even not playable, and he's saying auto include. So I don't know how we're gonna bridge that gap here in the
well, if he's
3
gonna
minutes
play
we
it
got
and
left.
beat us with it or lose with it.
Yeah, yeah, bring it in the
I'm putting
games
this in my
tonight when we play.
squad.
All right, let's see it. We got snapshot reflexes, 1 cost upgrade when played. You may attack with attached unit, gives you a 1/1, and it's a cunning card. Woo, do you like this one?
Yeah, man, this is shoot first for aggro decks, right? You can go face with it, so I already kind of liked. I think we talked a little bit about the +1/+1 upgrades. I already kind of liked them in aggro to help with like beating breakpoints of removal or trades. This fronts you the attack too, so I think it immediately is better than all the other ones that do it. Because even if they remove you, you've gotten your attack. So
Yep.
I really like it. I think again, it's aggro. Like I prefer shoot first if you're like playing for the board. But if you're playing for base damage, I like this better because it's permanent.
Yeah, seems like a nice include in some of those aggro decks, like a Boba Fett or a Sabine or something. What about the Jedi lightsaber? It's a 3-cost vigilance heroism upgrade attached to a non-vehicle unit, and if attached unit is force, it gains on attack, give the defender -2/-2 for this phase. I really like this card. We were talking about how this could go in like a Han thing, where you like turn 1 you get like Ezra or Yoda or something like that. Turn 2 you put this down, and if they don't have an answer for that, like it's gonna be a long day for them. So I mean, I like this card. I think it's gonna see a lot of play, and it's well costed, well statted for what it does. Thoughts out there? What do you think of the Jedi lightsaber?
I like it. I think it yeah, it's just a good upgrade, right? I think it's better than like in aggregate than the Fallen lightsaber because it can like trade bigger. Because instead of dealing 1 across the board, it does like 2 to your opponent. But the fact that it also lowers their attack means you're not taking as much damage back. So the issue sometimes with upgrades is, yeah, you get like a big unit, you have like a 5/7. Okay, but you attack something that has 4 health, you kill it, you get 4 damage on your guy, and then they kill your guy with like a 4 open fire or something, and you've basically just traded 2 for 2. This, since you're not taking as much damage back when you attack into something, makes those 2 for 2s less likely, right?
I had 2 of these on a Yoda the other day with an entrenched, and just I didn't really have any other options, but they didn't have Waylay in their deck, so I just kept pumping Yoda, and it was pretty crazy. I could just kill their stuff and take no damage, and he just stayed there the whole game and killed everything.
I think Waylay is going to be a meta card. Like I think it's gonna be like a meta call. Like
I don't think
I need
so.
to play Waylay.
I think you put that in every yellow deck. But
I don't know. I've heard people falling off of Waylay. Weren't you a person who fell off Waylay?
I mean, I still play it in like most of my yellow decks. I think I like it more in aggressive decks. I mean, a lot of these cards I think are better in aggressive decks where your card advantage isn't as important. But like aggro decks need a way to clear Obi-Wan, like, and that's Waylay right now. That's
okay.
It, and yeah, I mean, it messes with the upgrade stuff and like the all-in Voltron stuff.
yeah, it's a pretty important
this card.
card.
Yeah, I mean, and forget just like Waylay. I mean, this on a leader is especially like Luke.
Yeah, I was gonna say Luke Leader loves this card.
Yeah.
Handing out shields and doing this is pretty rough.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it there. We got something.
I was gonna say Mace Windu loves this card. Like absolutely loves this card.
All right. Okay. Mow him down. All right, guys. Thanks for the chat, and I think we'll wrap it there. And we've got our live stream coming up here in a few minutes. We're gonna get started on that. And if you all made it this far, you're my hero.
Take care.